things just got crazy in UK politics with the very real possibility a man dressed up in a bin costume could beat Nigel Farage in the upcoming by-election. Farage, the leader of the Reform Party, is facing two major parliamentary investigations regarding his finances and undeclared donations. The polarising politician has declared his innocence in a national address type video which was released to the media.
Let me be absolutely clear. I have done nothing wrong. I have not broken the law in any way at all. I have not misused public money. And you know, for the first 2 years of being an MP, my personal MP expenses are zero. Not, of course, that you'll read about that in mainstream media. And yes, of course, Parliament has its rules about how members ought to behave. And I believe I've absolutely obeyed those rules and done so under getting good legal advice.
But in a twist no one saw coming, he has announced he is resigning from Parliament. Now, his plan is to recontest his seat so that voters can decide his fate in a by-election.
I've thought about it hard, and I've decided today I will resign as a Member of Parliament for Clacton-on-Sea, thereby forcing a by-election, which would happen, I hope, in short order. No, I've decided that the people of Clacton should be the judges of my actions. This will be a people versus the establishment by-election. It's a chance to stick two fingers up to the entire establishment, to frankly tell them where to go. And that is why I will be putting my name forward to stand in this by-election. I will fight to win. I will fight to continue the political revolution that Reform has started. And I would say this to you, the voters of Clacton: if I win, you win. Because if I lose, they win, and we will never, with the two old parties, get the type of fundamental change that we need to fix broken Britain.
Now, the forced by-election was labelled a political stunt by his critics, and a number of parties have said they will not field a candidate. As reported by the BBC, a Labor spokesperson says the party will not stand a candidate, calling the by-election a circus. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch says the Conservatives will not stand a candidate in Farage's fake by-election. Lib Dem leader Ed Davey has called for all parties to stand aside and refuse to give oxygen to Farage's vanity project. Restore Britain's Rupert Lowe says his party will not participate in a Reform-sponsored media circus. But one person or being who has indicated they intend to stand is Count Binface in what could be a field of just a few candidates. Despite the fact Count Binface has stood in many elections throughout the UK and lost convincingly, some commentators believe that he stands a real chance if there is a protest vote against Farage's stunt in the seat of Clacton. In fact, he's now being taken so seriously, he even appeared on the BBC to talk about the election.
Tell me about your manifesto. What can you offer the people of Clacton? Have you ever been there?
No, because I understand from the current incumbent that is part of how you do the job. So I deliberately stayed away. Is that how it works? But, you know, if I get the 10 nominations, because, hey, look, there's no guarantee I'm standing for the election, as I'm sure you know. I'm game, but I have to get the signatures from 10 local inhabitants. Otherwise, this is a non-starter. And then, of course, I will tailor my manifesto to the local area as always. But most of my national policies will remain: building at least one affordable house, nationalising Adele, bring back CFAX, and of course, moving the hand dryer in the gents' toilet in the Crown and Treaty pub Uxbridge to a more sensible position, because, as you know, it's a national issue.
Those policies didn't go down too well, did they, with the good people of Makerfield? I believe you got 95 votes at the recent by-election. So how are you hoping to do any better?
What a disgracefully scornful tone. How dare you? 95 actual votes? That's a Dolly Parton. 95, just one shy of a reverse 69, which I scored against Boris in an Uxbridge sports hall in 2019. So I'm cock-a-hoop. I'm over your moon. I'm over my moon. I'm doing very well. I came 7th out of 14. I mean, what more do you want?
But it didn't stop there. Andrew Marr, one of the most respected political commentators in the UK, invited Count Binface onto his radio program.
It is possible that Binface beats Farage. We are, after all, the country which voted to christen a ship Boaty McBoatface. We have a long tradition of subversive humour. And I don't know, but I wouldn't rule anything out. Anyway, this periodic visitor from another galaxy has policies which may prove popular in Clacton. Nationalising model railways, for instance, and also nationalising Adele. Renaming London Bridge Phoebe Waller Bridge, and, of course, moving the hand dryer in the men's toilet in Uxbridge's Crown and Treaty pub to a more sensible position. He joined me a little earlier. I asked him, had he contemplated the worrying possibility that he might actually win this by-election?
Well, I mean, Andrew, thank you for your question. I mean, of course, I've computed every eventuality, and there is a small, a bit like Avengers Endgame, there is a small window of opportunity within which I actually become an MP. That is something which I think the British people would find hilarious, the rest of humanity would find hilarious, and dare I say, I would find hilarious too.
And even the prestigious Newsnight program on BBC Two, which describes itself as comprehensive coverage of the day's important national and international news stories, actually had him in the studio.
We know that the monster raving loony party are running as well. So do you think it's time for a loony bin pact?
Well, look, the fact is, if the loonies and Farage want to fight amongst themselves for the
no,
the
I'm talking
vote,
about you and the monster raving.
I know you are. I'm making a separate point.
Well, why don't you do a pact?
No, I don't need a pact with anybody. I'm quite happy, thank you.
Here, here. Well, hang on a minute, because why don't we...
And indeed the SNP. I mean, it's very kind of you.
I mean, these are serious times.
Quite right.
Why don't you bin off the bin on Newsnight now? We know that your name is John, and we know really a lot about you. Isn't this time, for serious times, to bin off the bin?
Oh, here we go. I mean, has anyone here seen Return of the Jedi? Nobody wants to know what's underneath the recyclone. It's disgusting. It's absolutely putrefying. No, if you want to be serious with me, I'll tell you, you want to talk to Count Binface, and then you get me on Newsnight and you start trying to deconstruct a character. I would say, what are we doing here? On a programme which used to construct proper investigative journalism and now is a souped-up podcast, Paddy.
Wowzers. This certainly hasn't gone the way Farage and Reform expected. Now, the idea there might be a protest vote that could see Farage beaten by a bin, it's actually run alarm bells within Reform. So much so, an ex-advisor to Farage has posted an investigation into Count Binface, outing him as comedian Jonathan David Harvey. I mean, he could have just gone to Wikipedia. It's not an investigation. It's all there. Now, the post contained a factual error, though, that Harvey works for the BBC. And readers have added context to the post, pointing out he has worked for many broadcasters, producing and performing in TV shows. This is Britain. You know, we always see, when you see election results, you always see some characters, the loony fringe and, the loony party and different people. There's always been these characters taking part. But this is probably the first time where one of these side characters could actually seize power, because people don't like politicians taking the piss. And I think Farage has done himself a lot of disservice here, taking the people of his seat for granted. He's thrown a wobbly, he's getting investigated, and he said, as a stunt, I'll take it to an election. Because he won convincingly at the last election. And he's playing himself as the underdog, saying, stick it up the finger to the man. Well, voting for this guy is what's going to stick it up to the man. And Farage is now the man in this situation. He is the establishment. He's been given £5 million by a benefactor. He never has to work again. And yes, there'll be a few other people that take part in this campaign. The Looney Party have said they'll take part. But this is the guy that everyone's looking to. And he doesn't seem a nutter. He actually seems like he has an intelligence about him. And I think there is something that people might just go, I'm going to vote, and I'm going to vote for this guy to stick it up Farage. I do not think for one moment Farage and Reform thought it would go down this way. They never expected the other party, the major parties, to pull out, and they did not expect the bin to become the poster boy of this election. This could turn out to be Farage's biggest mistake, who is such a smart political operator. But this is going to be fascinating. You can show your support for the show by buying me a coffee. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/McKnight tonight. Every bit helps keep this show from our garage going.
Here comes